Hello, fellow realtors. My name is David Mashonsky, and I'm here to walk you through an amazing new realtor benefit that your local board or association may have already emailed you about. What is it? Well, it's a new app that makes it easy for all 1.3 million realtors to comply with the Code of Ethics during every step of each of our transactions. Here's what happened. The National Association of Realtors entered into a licensing agreement with Quigler for the Code of Ethics, and Quigler, in turn, has used its compliance checklist application to develop a free NAR Code-only version. The full Quigler application extracts from federal law, state law, and the NAR Code what we are all required to do at each step of a transaction, helping to keep an agent compliant with federal and state laws as well as the code. The NAR Code-only version has just the code. Hey, but that alone will immediately put us way ahead and more likely to always allow us to do the right actions throughout each of our transactions. You can access the NAR Code-only version through any browser, whether you are on an Android or iPhone, laptop, or desktop computer. Here's just a few of the many benefits. With it, we each have a personal mentor and friend guiding us through what the code says we must do at each step of the way. And that means we're going to feel safer, more secure, and less likely to have complaints lodged against us. And if by chance we do get a complaint, we'll be able to demonstrate that we did what we were supposed to do, if of course we do what the code says. For new agents, it's a fabulous way to learn what to do at every step of the transaction and develop great habits for life. And it's also a way for us to demonstrate our value proposition every day to our prospects and clients. As you know, we as realtors do so much more than what the public perceives us to do. But now, with your NAR Code-only app, they're going to know more about what you do behind the scenes. And they're going to feel good knowing that they're being able to follow with you the ethical principles of our profession every step of the way. And they're going to know that we are doing what we say we're doing because we're going to be able to invite buyers and sellers into the transaction with us. In other words, they'll be able to follow along with us step by step and always know where we and they are in the transaction. We'll be able to give them total transaction transparency, something 92% of consumers say they want from us. And even if you may think of yourself as a diligent and good communicator, the app allows us to give our clients additional automated communications on top of what we already do. Because Quigler's notification tool notifies them every time we complete one of the actions required by the code. These notifications are time-stamped and dated, creating a running record of what we've done to be compliant. The app is going to allow you to give consumers what 93% of them say they want: an agent that is communicative and responsive. And finally, we're going to be able to give them this tool and convert leads. It's going to be a great way of differentiating ourselves and making sure that clients know they're dealing with an agent who is honest, who's communicative, who can provide them process know-how. And all that earns us the kind of trust that can lead to a lifetime of referral business. So to start, just go to quigler.com/NARCODE. When you do, you're going to come to this page. Go to where it says Start Here Free. Click on it, and it will take you to a sign-up page. Just fill in your name, first name, last name, an email, and then create a password that you'll remember and put in the state where you practice. That's it. You'll then go through a normal email confirmation. Click on your email, hit confirm, and boom, you're done. You'll then come to this page. For now, we're just going to deal with the lower right where it says Test Drive. And all you need to do is give the app two pieces of information. What kind of a transaction do you want, a seller or a buyer? And then, do you want the steps and the actions for a single family, a condo, a co-op, or a multifamily? Just choose one, and then click Finish. You're done. Quigler will then load the steps and the actions required for that type of transaction. Your steps are going to be across the top. with the first one on the far left, and then they proceed sequentially left to right. The number of steps can vary, but usually they're about 9 or 10. Underneath each step are the actions, and you see them in green. Here you see highlighted the action titled Contractual Relationships, and under it, additional actions that are required at this step of the transaction. Let me just quickly run you through the steps. The second one is the very important agency discussion. Third is the compensation discussion, talking to them about money. Fourth is your listing or representation agreement, requiring you to walk them through the entire agreement with other requirements of the code listed in the remaining actions below. Then you go to the seller and other disclosure step, followed by the marketing step, then showings, and then the offer step, and finally the accepted offer contract step. Now again, the number of steps will vary with the version of Quigler app you have. The full premium version with federal and state laws will have a lot more of what you're required to do, but the NAR Code only version will take you, again, a very long way toward always doing the right action. Now again, under each step, and here I am at step 7, the showing step, you'll see the specific actions that go with that step. Every action is a simple yes or no question. Most of them are, did you inform the client? Did you tell the client? Do you agree to do this? And so forth. It's a checklist, but it's not a test. Remember, Quigler is your mentor, guide, and friend, always at your side, helping you to do what you are required to do. And because friends always try to make sure that other friends don't do anything wrong, here's what happens if you answer something incorrectly. Boom! A stop sign comes up that tells you that this is the wrong answer, and it instructs you what to do correctly. Now, after you complete an action, it falls into the completed actions folder that you see here. Actions that have not yet been done are called open actions, and they're on the left. And it tells you how many are in each. Well, what does that mean for you? It means that after you load your transactions, you can log into every one of those transactions every day and see exactly what actions remain to be done at what step. Just click on the step at the top and look at the actions below. If the action is open and not completed, then get it done by picking up the phone and calling the client at your next meeting, or go to a next meeting to the client where you can discuss the items that haven't been done and complete them. And if you choose to invite your client or prospect into the transaction with you, then each time you complete a required action, they will get an immediate notification on their own dashboard, creating a running record, time-stamped and dated, of what you did and when you did it. Okay, now you know how the meat of the application works. Let me now show you a few additional bells and whistles. The very first one to the left of the arrow is the Download Forms tab. For the NAR Code only version of Quigler, you won't use that tab very much. But with the premium version, which has federal and state laws, you'll find the federal and state forms here that are available for whatever the form is for a particular action. The premium version is currently available only in New York and Connecticut, but soon it will be available in Florida, California, Texas, and New Jersey, with other states following. For the NAR Code version, there is only one form, and I'll come to it when we cover penalties. Now let's go to the What Will My Client See tab. This is something that agents asked us to create. Realizing that all the information in Quigler is also free to consumers on the consumer side of the application and allows them to know what we're required to do, agents asked us to be able to see exactly what the client will see. So we created it. Clicking the tab shows you what the consumer is seeing and reading. The next tab is the super important Why tab. This is where we get the exact citation from the Code of Ethics, telling us why we need to do this particular action. If you are on the premium version, you will get the exact citation from federal or state law in addition to the code. We don't interpret the law or the code. We just excerpt it for you and quote it as it is written and provide you the exact citation. Then we provide a penalties tab, so we know what happens if we fail to comply with either the code or federal or state law. Regarding the code, these are the penalties which your local board can impose, and there are a couple of things to note here. First, note that the app tells you to check out the one form found with the code. It is a chart NAR has created that shows what happens to us under various infractions. If you want to see it, go to Forms and download it. In addition, however, you need to know that back in May of 2018, NAR granted the local boards the ability to out us, meaning that if we are found not to be compliant by our local board, they can post our names publicly. That's not something good for your business. Finally, let's go to the Pro Tips tab. This is where we can join other agents who have sent in to us tips about how to implement certain actions related to the code. They may share how they've used this or that phrase to have a conversation with a client, or some have provided a clarifying form that helps implement the action. We gladly share them all here. We encourage you to send us your tips. We'd love everyone to help everyone else be in compliance all the time. Okay, so that's Test Drive, and you now know the whole application with its bells and whistles. When you're finished with a test drive, you'll default to this page. This is called your transaction dashboard page. Notice that the test drive we just did is in gray and it's at the top. And it tells us on the far right how many steps we have completed in that particular test drive. Now, it will only take 1 or 2 test drives and you'll get very, very comfortable with what's required. And when you are, it's time for you to load all your current transactions into your dashboard. To do that, we're going to go to the upper right and click on New Transaction. Now, a transaction is no different than a test drive, except that it asks you whether you want this transaction to be private to you or do you want to share it with a client and invite them to join you. You're welcome to keep it private to yourself. All that means is you've chosen to use Quiggler as a private mentor and guide to keep you on track, and that is perfectly fine. Although we can't understand why you wouldn't want your buyer or seller to also know every action required by the code that you're doing on their behalf. But that's your choice. We don't make the choice for you. In this case, however, I am gladly going to choose to share the steps and actions with a client because I want them to know everything I'm doing is being done correctly. Then, as you did earlier, choose if it's a buyer or a seller or a transaction. And then test drive, unlike test drive, where you're not asked for client information, in a transaction, you will be asked for some client information. If you have chosen to invite the client to join you, then red asterisks appear, meaning that these are required fields. And when you're finished entering information, the client will get an email notification from you that they have been invited to join you. If, on the other hand, you choose to keep the transaction private, then the red asterisks do not appear, and you can fill in whatever fields you wish. But we suggest that you at least fill in the client's name or address so that on your transaction dashboard you can organize your transactions by client name or address. And then just tell the system the type of property. Is it a single family, condo, co-op, or multi? Fill out the state and the city where it's located, and then click Finish, and you're done. You will now default back to your transaction dashboard, having now entered 2. You will see that the new one that you just did is in white, telling you that it is a transaction pending, and it says that an invitation has gone out to the client. When the client accepts that invitation, the invitation pending pad will be replaced by their name, which you entered in their client data. And the field on the far right will light up to tell you and them the number of steps you've completed. Over time, your transaction dashboard will start looking like this. And as you complete steps, you'll earn a grade, which you can see on the left. Remember, it is not likely that you will ever earn anything less than an A. Why? Because if you don't do the right thing, you're going to get the stop sign, and it will coach you to do the right action. Finally, do you need help? Just go back to the landing page, and up on the top, on the landing page, you'll find tutorials, including this one, and you can access them 24/7. Or if you need more personal help, just sign up for a 15 or 30-minute help session on the calendar you'll find there. And if you need immediate help, look on the lower right at the blue hexagon that says hello. Click on it, and we'll try to get back to you during 9 to 5 Eastern Standard Time business hours. Okay, now let's end with the ethics checklist. What's that? Well, remember what Quiglr does. It extracts from the Code of Ethics, and for anyone on the premium version from federal law or your state's licensing law, what you're required to do. But the Code of Ethics is more comprehensive than just a transaction. There are actions you have agreed to perform outside the transaction. Just for example, arbitration, mediation. So we've taken those actions that fall outside the transaction and put them into a quick ethics checklist review. It'll take you somewhere between 7 and 10 minutes to review. All you do is read what it says and click the check mark to show your agreement. And remember, there is nothing here to disagree with. By being a realtor, you have already agreed to everything found here. The checklist is just a reminder. And if you want to know why you need to do an action, just click on the Why tab. Up will pop the exact citation from the code. And if you choose to have a public profile, we've given you an added incentive to complete the ethics checklist. Why? Well, when you do, you will get your first A grade publicly displayed on your profile, enhancing your online reputation. When done, just click Save. Now, if the phone rings or if you've got to run and you're in the middle of doing the ethical checklist, don't worry. If you try to save your work but you are not finished yet, this screen will appear. And it's either going to give you two choices. Go back and continue it, or just proceed where you can exit the app and come back later. Okay, that's it. You now know everything you need to know in order to use the NAR Code app. And you know everything you need to know to help raise the bar on the professionalism of our industry. Thanks for joining and using your new NAR Code only free version of the app.